Joining me now is Lauren Megaw. She's the VP of Corporate Development at Reyna Silver. Great to see you.
Good to see you as well. It's exciting to be actually in Toronto at the studio, so thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, for sure. The last two times we talked were in New York, actually, and so we're going to get a nice update here. But before we do that, I think it's important to remind everybody about the philosophy at Reyna Silver, where you're looking for these monsters, as you call them, high grade, district scale in Nevada, in Mexico. Can you sort of give us a brief overview of that mission?
Yeah, I mean, what I think it boils down to is exploration's hard. Go for the kind of thing that really moves the needle, right? I mean, that's, whether it's the kind of thing that you want to take into production yourself or a big boy says, I need that. I mean, those are the big deposits. Those are the high grade deposits. Those are the ones that make money and survive when times are tough and are big enough to take advantage of the swings in the market. I mean, these things are cyclical. And so, that allows you to party all night if that's what you want to do when the price is up. And, that's our focus. And, we think we have 4 projects that fit within that filter. And, whether it's our 2 Mexican assets, Badapilas and Guigui, or our 2 Nevada assets, Medicine Springs and Gryphon, I mean, you look at Gryphon, you get gold, silver, and critical metals in the same project. I mean, any one of those 4 projects would probably be a company, like the focus of a singular company. So, for us having 4 that are like that really, we think that packs a punch. And in some ways you can think of it as like, do you want a stool with 1 leg or do you want a stool with 4 legs? One of those is a lot more stable than the others. So we're excited to have that.
That's a nice visual. You're always good with giving us visuals to understand things. So speaking of Gryphon, that's the focus right now, currently for the company. And you've been adding some claims, filling in some pieces of the puzzle at Gryphon with Mineral Hill, Union Hill. Why were those deals important to do?
So essentially we had this big, almost 10,000 hectare, or over 10,000 hectare project that we took on. And then we started doing detailed mapping this summer. And we recognized, 1, there's even more mineralization than we thought that was there. And we had 2 holes in the project. And we said, based off of what we're seeing, we want this thing to be entirely consolidated. We want to wrap our arms all the way around it because that's important when you think that you have the potential for something major. You don't want a little inlier sitting somewhere. And so this allows us, it's now one of, if not the largest consolidated claim package on the Carlin Trend that's not controlled by a major or a big company. And we feel that gives us the potential to control the full system and explore the full system. Especially because at Gryphon, we have the carbonate replacement deposit, the CRD style mineralization, which dramatically displays sort of the framework or the infrastructure of the deposit. And then we have this later Carlin gold mineralization that appears to be using the same structures as the CRD mineralization. And you put those 2 together and you go, if we're right about any one of the aspects here, the gold, the silver, or there's also a copper component as well, just if you didn't have enough cool things going on, let's throw copper in there too. You want to control that full thing, and you want to make sure that you're not missing a piece. So that's why we did that, and it took a lot of work to get those deals together, but we were able to get it across the finish line, and now we're drilling, which is the exciting part.
Right. So the team has started this 3,000-meter drilling program. The focus is on Union, 007 Zone, I love that name, and Sadler. So can you elaborate on the work that's being done right now?
So Union, that's one of the historic CRD producing mines. in the area, and they mined that to the base of oxidation, which led the deeper sulfide mineralization untouched. And our idea there is starting to understand what the geometry of the deposit, what's the preferred host rock, do we have enough of the carbonate, because these things are carbonate replacement deposits. So you want to make sure that they have the potential to get big. Do they have the room to grow? So you want to have the thickest section of carbonate you can. So that's one of the things that we were testing at Union, because we could see that the carbonate was cropped out, so we could actually test that depth more accurately with less meters than if we went somewhere else. And it's also patented ground, so that's convenient as well. And then the 007 zone is building upon Agnico's most successful hole there, where they intersected almost 3 meters of 5.5 grams gold. And what we now understand was that was essentially clipping the side of a structure. And they intersected that at about 15 meters. So we went, that thing has to crop out on surface. And sure enough, in the drill road, that was sampled. That structure runs 25 grams gold. And then there's this second drill structure in the drill road, runs about 20 grams gold. You put those pieces together and you go, I want to look at the intersection of those two. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be the target in the 007, or, well, because that was the name of that hole. Or I like to think of it as the James Bond zone.
Okay.
So we'll see what we get out of there. And then we have Sadler, which is one of my favorite areas, because this is a zone where every 20 to 30 meters you can trip over a vein or a breccia that's weeping copper mineralization. And copper can enrich at surface, so you can get kind of higher grades than what was actually originally there. But we're also seeing silver numbers. So, for example, we're able to test these fragments of mineralization, or what geologists call clasts, in breccias, which essentially means the breccia is sampling what's going on at depth for you, so it brings it up. And we're seeing results in that are almost 12% copper, along with 1,300 grams silver. You put those pieces together and you go, okay, I really want to see what that's related to, especially because we see an associated mag anomaly. And so you put those pieces together, and in CRDs, one of the things you want to do early on is figure out what it's coming from, figure out where its source is. And since copper is associated with higher temperature mineralization, when you start seeing a whole bunch of copper show up and you see a mag anomaly, you go, we need to test this zone. I think the thing that I would leave everyone with that Gryphon is it's at least a triple threat. Whether you're talking the gold or the silver or the copper mineralization, and I guess in some ways this is a forward-looking statement, but there's also the aspect of we could be right about all three. That's why we're focusing on this project for this year. How can you not love it? I'm a little biased.
Okay. Now, on the M&A front, Reyna Silver is in the process of essentially buying Reyna Gold.
Yep.
So what is that, just sort of a matter of course? It just makes sense? So what's the thinking behind it?
So we're doing the merger of acquisition because cost efficiencies, right? Like there was a lot of overlap between the two. We have a lot of shared investors between the two. Consolidate, tighten things up. Don't have to pay duplicate bills on, regulatory things as well. And, putting those pieces together, it also consolidates the optionality of Gryphon. So it made a lot of sense to just bring that all under one umbrella, tighten up the belt, as it were.
Right. Okay. Very good. Now back to the projects. You've been talking about Gryphon. That's the focus, as we know. You've got the three others: Batapias, Guigui, and sort of the fourth one.
Medicine Springs.
Yeah, Medicine Springs. So, any details to pass along on those?
Yeah. So at Guigui, what we've been doing is we've been working with an AI optimization of the geophysics that we have there, based off of the work that we've done so far. So we've got a really exciting target that's come out of that. And then we're also working with the MDRU carbonate footprint study alongside some big companies, trying to hone in on where the source of this system is, because the idea at Guigui is you're in the Santa Eulalia mining district. So you have 500 million ounces of silver that has come from the distal portion of the system. If you can figure out where the source is, you can work those two ends against each other to find the bigger mineralization that lies between. That's the theory there. So we feel like we're really honing in on that. And then at Batapilas, last year we hit our widest intercept to date. So 30 meters of silver mineralization with 9 meters running over 600 grams silver. We have that, plus we have this zone where we cut a silver structure, and like native silver structure, because that's the cool thing about Batapilas. Like the main ore mineral there historically was native silver, and when you were in the ore chutes proper, you'd have this 0.5 meter to 2 meter wide, 30 to 80 meters, hundreds of meters down structure, then tighten back out 30 to 80 meters, blow back out again. The grade in those ore chutes was up to 2% silver. When you're starting to talk percentiles and silver, like, whoa. And so, the feature that we ran into in hole 57 is the same feature that we know it tells you that you're about to hit one of these blowouts, where we go from a tight structure to that 0.5 meter to 2 meter wide. That happens over a 3 to 5 meter zone. So we feel like we're really close to that next ore chute, figuring out where those pieces are. So we've got some really cool targets showing up at Batapilas, and especially because we have this gold component there now too. And then at Medicine Springs, we're working with the geophysics. We have these geophysics anomalies that line up with the geochemical and structural anomalies. We'd love to test that. The tricky part this year is with the market where it's at, we had to pick which pony we were going to focus on. And we chose Gryphon because while it's the newest project to us, it's the most advanced. And we recognized that if we took the full team and really focused them in on it, that was going to give us the highest chance to have success there. So that's what we've been up to. All
right, very good. Now, Lauren, let's wrap it up by talking about silver itself. So the broad picture lately has been the Fed cuts by 50 basis points. Maybe another 50 basis points is coming in November, potentially, according to some. You've got China doing all this stimulus. So you've got commodities starting to move, commodity stocks generally starting to move. Silver's comfortably above $30 an ounce. So what's your view of silver itself right now, and how Reyna fits in, and in terms of if and when you get some strikes and get some nice results, shouldn't take much to move the needle on the stock, right?
I will not claim to be an expert on where silver's going, other than it's probably going to go up, down, and sideways. But I think that's one of the reasons why we focus on the grade and scale of the projects that we do, that you're buffered from that. You want to do your math with a crayon, not with Excel, right? Like that's the kind of grades that we're looking for. And that's also the kind of grades that when things do start moving or are, you get the most reward for it, because you have, like, the deposits that have those grades, they're the ones that make the really big bucks when prices start moving. And, the thing that I would say at, with Reyna drilling at Gryphon right now, with silver prices where they are and gold prices where they are, and considering the project's address, if we're right about what's there, we're going to move, and we're going to move quick. Forward-looking statement. Just based off of what you see typically happening is like whatever the market's doing, when you make a big discovery, that moves things. It moves even bigger when prices are exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping the two line up. We'll see.
Yeah.
I need to knock on some wood somewhere. But, you know, that's one of the things that makes this an exciting time to have a drill program and have those rotary truth machines going. See whether or not the geology that we see at surface lines up with the geology in the ground. And, you know, hopefully the timing works for us.
All right. Well, thanks for coming in, and great update. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Good stuff. Lauren Megaw, VP Corporate Development at Reyna Silver.